Hello, everyone. The piano music you just heard is your signal to settle into your seats and prepare for the start of our worship service. Before we begin, let's have a quick look at a few announcements. First off, the board would like to thank the new nominating team. That's Rob Berthold, Beth Gurman, Woody Hibbard, and Linda Hansen for volunteering to be on the nominating board. So if you have any burning desire to be on the board, and I've done it twice, so I'm telling you, it's very fun. You should do it. If you have any burning desire, please reach out to any of those folks and let them know. Also today at 1 o'clock, there's going to be a Native American walk put on by Helen Cordes. As part of that, there's going to be an Indian taco sale for donations. All of those donations will go to the upcoming powwow, which is scheduled for September 20. I'm doing this by memory. September 28th. It's that Saturday, that last Saturday in September. So please come out, have some food, and learn some history, some local history of the Native tribes here in town. All right. Good morning, and welcome to San Gabriel Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whether you are here in the sanctuary or watching from home, you are welcome here, and we are glad that you are here. My name is Chuck Collins, and although it is important for people to call people what they want to be called, I do not care that much about my pronouns, so you can call me whatever you like. In addition to serving as leg leader today, I'm also on the board, as I mentioned before, and this is my second time through, so I really appreciate if somebody volunteers to take my place. San Gabriel is a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. There are over 1,000 UU congregations in the United States, and all of us together are working for a just, peaceful, sustainable world. Sustaining each other here in community is the first step on a long road of that important work. We especially welcome our guests today. If this is your first time here, thank you for coming. We hope that you will stay for coffee and conversation and great food. We always have great food, so that's the selling point. Coffee and conversation today, and if you would like to know more about us and our upcoming events, please fill out the visitor card that's in the back pocket of the seat in front of you. And place it in the collection plate as it goes by. Today, I'm happy to introduce our guest speaker to you, Audrey McCann. Her pronouns are she, her, or they, them. Audrey is a Unitarian Universalist seminarian attending United Theological Seminary of the Twin Cities. She's about to get that accent, y'all. So, you betcha. She is a member of the Live Oak UU in Cedar Park and a native Texan, but she has recently relocated to Minnesota to continue her journey into the UU ministry. Welcome, Audrey, and thank you for being with us today. Please know that whoever you are, whoever you love, wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. And let us greet this day in song. Our opening hymn is One More Step, number 168 in the gray hymnal. The lyrics will also be projected. So please stand and body your spirit as you are able, and as we sing all 4 verses.
One more There's a little bit of a height difference between us, isn't there? I don't think it's that noticeable, you know. For our chalice lighting today, I'll offer these words by Francis Coziar. We light this chalice today as a people dedicated to personal growth. May it burn away the oppressions we have been taught and glow instead with the humility of learning. May it reignite our dreams for a better world and kindle our joy for simple living. May its warmth extend out to the forgotten alleyways of exclusion and bring us home to love, to welcoming, and to all the challenges, the questions, and the blessings of this beautiful path to becoming a beloved community.
Our affirmation is an expression of our covenant with one another. Please read after me. The words will be projected. And I'm going to get out of your way. The doctrine of this church is love. We are here to love. The quest of truth is its sacrament. We are here to learn. Service is its prayer. We are here to care for others. To dwell together in peace. We are here to live in peace. To seek knowledge and freedom. We are here to honor our differences. To serve humanity in fellowship. We are all connected in spirit. To the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. We are here to grow. Thus do we covenant with each other. This we promise to do together. Welcome, Karina.
All right, I've got a wonder box. I don't see any young ones in our congregation this morning, so I'm going to require some enthusiasm from the adults today. All right, so we love to help each other learn and grow, and we do that by sharing our guesses of what might be in here this morning. Rice, seeds, what else did I hear? Beans. Yeah, this sound is a good giveaway. This is a good audio signal because I've got, what do those look like? They're the sunflower seeds. And yes, I did have some loose in here. What does that make you think of when you think of seeds, either to eat or any thoughts? Bluebonnets, yeah. Growing, growth. All right. Gardening. Baseball games, yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see what our story is going to tell us about seeds today.
The Bad Seed, written by Jory John, illustrations by Pete Oswald, published by HarperCollins. I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. Oh yeah, it's true. The other seeds, they look at me and they say, that seed is so bad. When they think I'm not listening, they mumble, there goes a bad seed. But I can hear them. I have good hearing for a seed. How bad am I? You really want to know? Well, I never put things back where they belong. I'm late to everything. I tell long jokes with no punchlines. I never wash my hands or my feet. I lie about pointless stuff. I cut in line every time. I stare at everybody. I glare at everybody. I finish everybody's sentences, and I never listen. And I do lots of other bad things too. Know why? Because I'm a bad seed. A bad seed. I just can't help it. Sure, I wasn't always this bad. I was born a humble seed on a simple sunflower in an unremarkable field. I had a big family, seeds everywhere. We found ways of having fun. We were close. But then the petals dropped, and our flower drooped. It's kind of a blur. I remember a bag. Everything went dark. And then A giant. I thought I was a goner. I thought I was done for. I screamed and I hollered, ah! But I was spit out, pa-chew, at the last possible second. I flew through the air and I landed under the bleachers with a huge thud. When I woke up, it was dark outside. A wad of gum had softened my fall. I felt okay, but something had changed in me. I'd become a different seed entirely. I'd become a bad seed. A bad seed. That's right. I stopped smiling, kept to myself. I drifted. I was friend to nobody and bad to everybody. I was lost on purpose. I lived inside a soda can. I didn't care, and it suited me. Until recently. I've made a big decision. I've decided I don't want to be a bad seed anymore. I'm ready to be happy. It's hard to be good when you're so used to being bad, but I'm trying. I'm taking it one day at a time. Sure, I still forget to listen, and I still show up late, and I still talk during movies, and I do all kinds of other bad stuff. But I also say thank you, and I say please, and I smile, and I hold doors open for people. Not always, but sometimes. And even though I still feel bad sometimes, I also feel kind of good. It's sort of a mix. All I can do is keep trying and keep thinking, maybe I'm not such a bad seed after all. Hey, look, there goes that bad seed. Actually, he's not all that bad anymore. I heard that. The end.
I was telling people I have been waiting to share this story for a very long time, so I'm very thankful to Audrey for having a sermon that fits exactly right with this book. You know, our Soul Matters theme this month is transformation, and I certainly see that in this story, the not-so-bad seed. We learned about why he was behaving badly, and that really puts things into context, doesn't it? And I liked how the other seeds noticed how the bad seed had changed. Theologically, as Unitarian Universalists, we believe in forgiveness and redemption and transformation. I look forward to Audrey's thoughts on these concepts today, and if I had had some little ones, we would have maybe eaten some sunflower seeds together and talked about how we make mistakes and learn and grow from them.
So I love this story. Corinna sent me an email with 3 different children's books that could kind of relate to what I'm talking about. All 3 were wonderful. Specifically, The Bad Seed. It was very funny in the video she sent. It was like, the bad seed. Like, imagine like biker, you know, sunglasses. Amazing. And I really think that the part of the book where he literally gets chewed up and spit out and thrown across the baseball field away from anyone he's ever known, and then he just feels bad. Was him being bad a reflection of his character, or was it a reflection of him kind of losing everything up to that point, right? So I'm attending a Christian seminary right now. It's a United Church of Christ seminary in St. Paul, and that is very wonderful as someone who grew up Southern Baptist to attend a progressive Christian seminary, right? But there's also some challenges about being a Unitarian Universalist in Christian spaces. So I'm taking a theology class right now that kind of inspired talking about this, because sin is a big part of Christian theology, right? Like, you can't have a Christian theology without having some conception of sin. And one time my professor asked me, like, Audrey, what is the Unitarian Universalist theological opinion on sin? I was like, you know, I don't know if there is one. I think some of the Universalist aspect of our theological forebears decided that sin was just too charged of a term. There was so much attached to it. As a Southern Baptist, I definitely think of the hellfire and brimstone that I grew up with. And that is like absolutely against Unitarian Universalist values, right? But I also think of the fact that we are always encouraging each other to be on this responsible journey of growth and this lifelong path of learning. And you can't learn and you can't grow if you don't screw things up sometimes, right? It doesn't have to be an aspect of our identities, but it is something that if we don't address it, we can't learn from it and we can't grow. So I come today with sort of a suggestion just to reconsider the word sin. I know that's a dirty word in UU spaces, right? We are a congregation and an entire denomination full of heretics going back, centuries, right? But it almost feels like a heresy to bring up sin simply because of the charged meaning behind it, thanks to conservative evangelicals. So, as part of this class, I've been looking into theologies of sin, right? There is a Christian theologian named Paul Tillich from the mid-20th century, and he has a pretty wonderful and interesting definition of sin. To put it in plain terms, he basically says that sin is whatever creates a separation between his soul and what he considers sacred. So sin isn't something he does. Sin isn't something that he was inherently born with. It's what makes him feel less like himself. There's this idea of estrangement is the word he uses. So anything that makes him feel more alienated from his own person or from his family, from his community, and definitely from his God, that's sin. Whenever I think about this concept, I think about The Good Place. Have any of you ever seen that TV show? Yes, I see some hands. So it is definitely a humorous TV show in a very dark way, but it kind of explores the idea of how difficult it is to be a good person when there's all this systemic sin in our society, right? So I won't get into the full story, but the concept I'd like to focus on is that nobody has gone to heaven in hundreds of years because capitalism makes it a sin to buy a tomato from the grocery store. Because you think of all of the systemic racism that's behind that and the migrant workers who are picking those tomatoes. They're the people who are working in the grocery stores who are being exploited by the CEOs of the groceries. Like, you could just keep going, right? And then there's might be harmful practices in the agriculture that are harming the earth. But that doesn't mean that the people consuming tomatoes are bad, right? Wouldn't that be silly? As much as I would like an excuse to never eat tomatoes again, I don't think that's reasonable. So, as much as it wasn't explained in the show in this way, I think there's an interesting theological question here. If you can't go to this heaven because your actions don't always cause good, what does that mean? And even though there isn't necessarily a Unitarian Universalist idea of heaven in an external place, what does it mean to address sin or anything else that helps us feel disconnected here to prevent us from bringing like happiness or heaven to each other and on earth? So one of the things that unfortunately does plague Unitarian Universalism and most Abrahamic or post-Abrahamic religions is white supremacy. This has been a topic that Unitarian Universalism has been trying to focus on for probably since its inception, but definitely for the last several years as we've been talking about things like the Eighth Principle and then the Article 2 rewrite that we'll be voting on in June. So I just wanted to kind of explore this concept with you. If we look at white supremacy as a sin, and if we definitely look at chattel slavery as like our country's like greatest sin, that's not something that we individually are doing. It is a system that has been laid out that most of us are participating in. It definitely creates disconnects. It can make us feel alien to each other. It can make us feel alien to our families. I live in a mixed race family, and there's definitely disconnects between us, even within ourselves. And it absolutely will create disconnects between whatever we consider sacred. Some feedback that white Unitarian Universalist churches have received from UUs of color is that white church is just so dang quiet. Y'all are so quiet, right? A lot of white UUs want to see going to church as listening to a lecture or a TED Talk, which is wonderful, do not get me wrong. Give me some philosophy to chew on for the rest of the week, right? But there's something whenever we think about more primal urges for spirituality, we think of connecting with each other, right? You think of things like song, which is something that we incorporate, but you also think of movement, and you think of communicating with one another and kind of sharing this joy of the Spirit. So I'm going to make all of you uncomfortable today. This is not going to be a lecture. We're going to participate. So on one hand, there is the discomfort of talking in church, but on the other hand, we're going to talk about how sin impacts our lives. Something that really comes to mind for me whenever I think of sin is I am a workaholic. I'll just admit that. My partner can attest to it. It has caused some problems in my life. And some of that is capitalism, making me feel like I have to do this in order to just survive. It's definitely a sin. It makes me feel disconnected from the people around me at best, or even competitive and antagonistic against them at worst. And it absolutely creates a disconnect between myself and what I consider sacred, because there's just no time to even think about that or try to make that connection, because I'm just always working and worried about what's next on the to-do list, worried about making it to work tomorrow, worried about getting a promotion or a raise. And so there's just no time to form these relationships. So if you sit for a minute and you think of this definition of sin, or any word you'd like to use, as something that makes you feel disconnected, what is something that comes to mind? Pain? Absolutely. I suffer from chronic pain too. I actually woke up with a migraine this morning, so. Selfishness, absolutely. And that can take so many different forms, right? Some of which are intentional and some aren't sometimes. Oh goodness, she said giving too much unsolicited advice. Yeah, that's a good point. Prejudice, absolutely. And that's something that is another thing that is kind of often ingrained into us as kids that can take us decades to actually realize what's going on. Conflict, yes. Generational trauma, 100%, absolutely. And that is a great example of something that kind of happens to us. It's almost like a condition of the soul, not necessarily we do to ourselves. Resentment, 100% resentment. Yeah, and I think that also kind of goes along with the biases, because it kind of creates this resentment that we don't really know how to articulate or even diagnose. What communication? Lack of communication, absolutely. And I think that that also can be a symptom of something greater. Like it could be a symptom of depression or, overworking from capitalism, or even kind of that resentment or trauma that we've talked about. Judgment, yes. So you see how a lot of these things we've talked about aren't necessarily actions? Some of them are symptoms of maybe mental health issues that we're having. Some of them are symptoms of some kind of unmet need, such as housing or communication, regular access to food, medical health care. So when we try to bring this idea of sin into Unitarian Universalism, I wonder if this gives us an opportunity to explore why it is so hard to eradicate the systems of evil that still exist in our communities. Sometimes it is very difficult to diagnose these because we've built a country on it, we've built families on it, we've built a religion within it. And even though it absolutely is against our Unitarian Universalist values, there are still these strains of white supremacy within our denomination that youths of color have very graciously and generously been able to point out for us. And I think, similar to the bad seed realizing that he wanted to be good, I think there's something to be said about just trying every day. Sometimes it's going to take moments of reflection to even realize how we are participating in the systems of harm, how we are benefiting from them, how we are continuing them forward. And I'm not going to say that we can just end racism, it's done, we did it, it's over. That's just not possible. But some of that is also life often is about building relationships. So whenever these disconnects happen between our friends and our family and the people in our congregation, even within ourselves, there's definitely going to build some resentment. There's definitely going to be some generational trauma. There's definitely going to be conflict and lack of communication and everything else. So you see, these are symptoms almost of an illness, I suppose, that we are experiencing together. So whenever we think about this, something that can be very healing is people making connections with us. So if we sort of think as the community or Unitarian Universalism as a whole as a way of being able to treat us for these symptoms or whatever is plaguing our souls and causing these disconnects, what are things that we can do for each other in kind of a communal care way to not only heal the wounds that are causing the sin, but kind of make us more conscious of the sin and possibly prevent it in the future? Educate our young ones. That is very important, because that is something that, since we're all adults here, we're all responsible for that, right? Taking care of yourself, yes. I am a big proponent of self-care as someone who is really bad at self-care. I'm the kind of person that'll be like, you need to take a nap, and I haven't slept in like 24 hours. That's important. And that's something that I think could be a part of that personal and responsible search for truth and meaning, right? You have to take care of yourself in order to make responsible decisions. Listen. Oh, that's always easier than it sounds. I mean, harder than it sounds, huh? Going off of what? Oh, accepting criticism, yes. And that's something that can be very, very difficult, because something that I've noticed within myself and within a lot of people I love is, especially a lot of us that come from religious trauma, such as myself, coming from old Southern Baptist rural Texas, it can almost trigger a very visceral response to be told you're doing something wrong, because you go back to that kid that was told you're sinful and you can't do anything about it, right? And so while, yes, taking accountability and criticism is incredibly important, it could also be helpful to be mindful of this trauma within each other as we kind of grow from that, because that does take time. It is that person's responsibility to work through that and eventually become more open to criticism, but being mindful is helpful. Vulnerable? Yeah. Oh, there you are. Hard to tell who's saying what. Yes. So being willing to be vulnerable is what was said. Participating. Yeah. Even just including people, right? And going out with your community and kind of rebuilding those connections very actively. Yeah. Telling your loved ones that you love them. And that kind of goes along with the vulnerability, right? It's very difficult sometimes to just be effusive with how much we love each other. Absolutely. Confessing our own vulnerabilities and shortcomings. Making repairs, yeah. And that can take a lot of different forms, right? If we think of this as a way of self-care, that can involve finally making that doctor's appointment and working on your high blood pressure. Can involve, calling your brother that you got into a fight with last week. Could involve meditating and kind of healing something in yourself. Making amends. Ooh, and that's a tough one, because that is a two-way street, right? That isn't just a one-way thing. So as we think of these things, as they exist in our lives, they're pretty normal. We come across them all the time. Each of us have experienced them. Each of us have reacted to them. And a part of building the beloved community is not demonizing those aspects of life at all. It is simply viewing them as a symptom of something that needs to be addressed. My iPad does not have internet connection, so I'm not able to look up the name of the tribe. But Alice Walker wrote about an African tribe that when someone would wrong the community, the rest of the tribe would circle around them and tell them everything good they had done in their lives. Say, they stole from the general store or something. Yeah, you stole, but you also helped my daughter when she fell out of a tree. You also told me how pretty my dress was the other day. You also helped someone, farm or whatever, and just sits there for days, basically, as part of this ritual of reminding someone who they are. And so their way of addressing the sin isn't saying that they're bad for it. It's not saying that it didn't happen. It's saying that is one thing and this huge, massive, wonderful that creates you as a person. And then at the end of that ritual, after they have probably really made the person uncomfortable, right? By telling, that's kind of a vulnerable thing, being given compliments. Sometimes I think that's harder than receiving criticism. They just go back to their normal lives. And everything's fine, and the person is just a part of the community again. What would that look like in our churches? What would that look like in our country? What would that kind of forgiveness look like in ourselves? Something like this can be difficult to even wrestle with, simply because sin has such a charged meaning, especially in the United States, especially in Texas. But I wonder if excising this idea of sin from our theology has made it a lot easier for systems of harm to fester, because it's harder to address. So if we kind of take the finger pointing, and we take the shame, and we take the guilt out of sin, and we simply look at it as a symptom of an unmet need and something that the community needs to step in and help heal, I really do believe that Unitarian Universalism can continue to grow and continue to become more inclusive and more welcoming, and all of the other things that we are trying to build our denomination around. These values are what hold us together, and they will continue to heal the wounds to strengthen those bonds. So I'm not here today to say you have to use sin constantly, you have to think about it always. It's okay if you're not comfortable with the word, that's totally fine. Like I said, I definitely have a complicated history with the word. But if we think about something like, oh, I snapped at my son this morning, what's going on? Oh, well, I haven't drank water today, maybe that's important. I didn't get good sleep last night, right? Instead of being mad at yourself and sitting all day wondering why you were imperfect, try to figure out what we can do to make things better in the future. So thank you for considering this with me and being heretics. I don't even know where the stacking would be in that, right? But let's just continue to be heretical. Yes, Karen. Thank you so much. Babemba tribe in South Africa. I couldn't even tell you which book Alice Walker wrote it in at this point. I forgot. But yes, thank you very much. That is important. So thank you all. Let us sing Here We Have Gathered, number 360 in the gray hymnal. The lyrics will be projected again, so please stand as you are willing and able to sing all 3 verses.
So great news today. We have a joining ceremony. So can I ask Clara and the members of the, no? I'm sorry? Offertory. Okay. All right, okay. We take this, I'm sorry, it's wrong on my sheet. Just, we take an offering each week to sustain the space that we all call home and support the work of our fellowship. If this is your first time here, please feel free to let that plate slip on by. However, if you filled out a visitor's form, feel free to drop that into the collection plate, please. If you're new, your presence here is a wonderful gift in itself, and we expect no monetary value from you. And if you fill out a visitor card, please put it in the plate. The offertory today is, I'm gonna mess this up, Celtic Magnificat. An arrangement, I was going to say Thundercat, I swear to God I was going to say Thundercat. An arrangement of the traditional Irish melody Star of the County Down. It is to commemorate March as an Irish American Heritage Month. The offering will now be gratefully received, and we thank you. That was beautiful, as always. And I'm looking in the back. Are we doing okay. So, so Clara and the members of the board, if you can come forward. We have a joining ceremony today. So Clara, please take it away.
Good morning. My name is Clara Dugan, and along with a great team, I am the lead of the membership. And this morning, we are welcoming new members to the San Gabriel Universalist Unitarian Fellowship. While today they will be making their commitment to the fellowship official, many of the people who are about to come up front have been involved and active in the congregation for various lengths of time already. As I call your names, please come up. Virgie Johnson. can come over this way if you want. Joanne and Derek Wilson. Andrea Meisenheimer. Ahmad Davidson. And Laura Villa. As a part of our welcoming of these new members, please join me in reading saying these words of the covenant of our church. Just repeat after me. They're short. Seek to connect.
Seek to connect.
Take time to reflect.
Take time to reflect.
Be direct.
Be direct.
Speak with respect.
Speak with respect.
We are glad you have found us and delighted that each of you have chosen to be a part of the UU community. We look forward to learning even more about each of you. You have been attending Sunday services and becoming more involved in the life of the congregation and going to special events here with the fellowship. We pledge to try to be supportive and inspiring community for you all. One where you will grow spiritually and intellectually and in your awareness of the work that needs to be done in the wider world. We hope that you will give your energy and your involvement and your financial support to us in return. Together, we will have the courage to be vulnerable, to ask questions, to care for each other, and to celebrate our joys. With love and compassion, we look forward to having you as our companions on this journey of life, as together we build the beloved community. During the service, if you have not already done so, we invite you each to sign the membership book for our fellowship. We would like to invite you to say a few words about yourself and maybe how you came to us.
I grew up in a small rural Texas town. Can't you hear me?
There's people on the
Okay, Laura, here I am. I grew up in a small rural Texas town, peopled by Baptists and Catholics. UU was nowhere part of my life until my daughter Jamie went to Connecticut, and she found her place in the church. Not only did she find her place, she decided to become a chaplain, a Universalist chaplain, and that's what she's doing now. So I am delighted to be a part of a community that shares my beliefs and gives me an opportunity to practice them. Thank you.
Hello. I was originally raised Catholic, and I had a lot of fun religious trauma. So it's just it's really wonderful to find a community that's just so full of love and non-judgmental and just willing to help each other and the community grow into something better.
Good morning. I'm Ahmad Davidson. I grew up in Vegas. My religious experience has been very colorful, thankfully, and I'm glad to have found a community that shares my values and my beliefs.
I'm Laura Vi. I never grew up in a church at all, but I found the UU Fellowship in Dallas like 25 years ago when a friend brought me with her to her fellowship. I always wanted to go because it really aligned with my values and I wanted the community, but because of work and family commitments, I never was able to until recently. So I'm very happy and grateful to have found you all.
Please read the words reflected on the screen. And say her name also. Virgie Johnson. May your thoughts be wise.
May your lips speak truth. May your heart know love. And your hands do good work all the days of your life.
Joanne Wilson.
Joanne Wilson. May your thoughts be wise. May your lips speak truth. May your heart know love. And your hands do good work all the days of your life.
Derek Wilson.
Derek Wilson. May your thoughts be wise. May your lips speak truth. May your heart know love. And your hands do good work all the days of your life.
Andrea Meisenheimer.
Andrea Meisenheimer. May your thoughts be wise. May your lips speak truth. May your heart know love. And your hands do good work all of the days of your life.
Ahmad Davidson.
May your thoughts be wise. May your lips speak truth. May your heart know love. And your hands do good work all the days of your life.
Lara Villa.
Lara Villa. May your thoughts be wise. May your lips speak truth. May your heart know love. And your hands do good work all of the days of your life.
Our new members are signing their names next to yours in our membership book. Do you agree to help guide our members, helping them live into our covenant, helping them to move together with us into our future with hope and vision? Do you pledge to offer our new members support in times of sorrow, laughter in times of joy, and encouragement in times of doubt, and hold our lamp high and light the path for them along the way? If you all agree to this, please indicate as such by stating, "We do." Welcome to the San Gabriel Unitarian
How exciting. I've never been a part of a joining ceremony at another congregation. That's really cool. So as we extinguish our chalice today, I will read these words by Paul H. Beatty. May our lives be blessed according to the depth of our love, the persistence of our faith, our willingness to forgive and be compassionate, and in proportion to our yearning to be free. Amen and blessed be.
I almost forgot to put out the candle. We were going to be here forever. Just to reiterate one of the announcements. At 1 o'clock today at the Springs Pavilion in San Gabriel Park, we're going to have a native walk with a taco sale, and the proceeds go to the powwow coming in October. And with that, I'll just quote my former priest, talking about my own Catholic upbringing. Go forth and sin no more.